Welcome to day 4 of the first ever Formula Wing World Championships taking place here in Cagliari in the south of Sardinia. We're 3 days into the competition with some interesting patterns already emerging in the racing. Hi, I'm Andy Rice. I've been following the world of wing foil racing for about 3 years, but someone with much deeper experience of this fast-growing sport. He does it nearly every day here in Cagliari when he's not sitting next to me. It's the president in the International Wing Sport Association, Mirko Bobine. Welcome, Mirko, and a great day in store.
Yes, thank you, Andy. It's always a pleasure to start with the live the first day after 4 days of competition, and more here in Cagliari, where also I live, and I'm really happy to be here and share with you again this super experience.
It's wonderful to be back, and Formula Wing, this is another step on the road for this fast-growing sport. It's quite an important milestone, this event, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, as you said, it's the first Formula Wing World Championship, so it's gonna be in mind of for many years to all the sailors that they are here, and it's gonna be super interesting to see how it will continue to develop. So again, after the wing foil racing, now Formula Wing, which reduced, and we will talk more later on.
Well, let's see how it's been going in the first 3 days so far. There's been plenty of drama in the opening part of the event, so let's see how it's played out.
Wingfoiling has exploded onto the water sports scene in the past few years. It's one of the fastest growing recreational sports, and at the top end of the sport, wingfoil racing is getting faster, becoming more professional, and certainly more competitive. In 2025, the world's top wingfoil racers have been building up towards the most important event of the season, the first ever Formula Wing World Championships. Taking place in Cagliari in the south of Sardinia, this Worlds has attracted 93 riders from 22 different nations. The leading lights from the past few seasons of the Wingfoil Racing World Cup start as obvious favourites. Maddalena Spanu from Italy in the women's fleet, and in the men, two standout performers, France's Matis Guillot and Poland's Kamil Maniwiecki. Day 1 of competition is a big one in many different ways. 4 long-distance races will take the riders to their physical limits, and the high-speed rabbit start generates a massive rush of adrenaline. A warm northwesterly Mistral is gusting offshore from the city of Cagliari for a spectacular day of racing in the bay. Last year's Wingfoil Racing World Cup champion Matis Guillot started his campaign poorly, coming across the first finish line in just 18th place. But then the Flying Frenchman pulled himself together for the next 3 heats, and by the end of the day was top of the leaderboard, just ahead of Alessandro Tomasi from Italy. Big surprise package of the first day was a complete newcomer to wingfoil competition, Gray Morris from Australia. An Olympic silver medalist from the windsurfing event at Paris 2024, Morris says he's come to compete in the Formula Wing Worlds as a bit of a holiday from his IQ foil racing. In the women's competition, Maddalena Spanu won 3 out of the 4 long-distance races, establishing an early lead in the competition ahead of France's Vaina Picot. Day 2 of the Formula Wing World Championships in Cagliari marked the start of the short course racing, with 5 heats completed during a breezy afternoon. Fresh from his recent victory on the Yangtze River at the Wingfoil Racing World Cup China, Kamil Maniwiecki came to Cagliari as one of the favourites. But here the Polish rider has been off his game. He finished up the day in 10th, a long way from his high expectations. At the front, Frenchman Guillot continued to hold the lead, but still being chased hard by the Italians, Ale Tomasi and Francesco Capuzzo. Things keep on going well for another Italian, Maddalena Spanu, who continues to dominate the women's division with a healthy lead over France's Picot and Karolina Kluszynska from Poland in 3rd. Day 3, and the weather gods defied the forecast of poor wind. Instead, a strong breeze gusting over 22 knots arrived from the south, bringing in some rolling waves. After the shifty, patchy northerly breeze from the first 2 days, it's a totally different kind of challenge for the top 20 men's riders who are now seeded into the Gold Fleet phase of the competition. The big change of conditions seemed to suit Manevietsky extremely well. Starting the day in just 10th, his scores of 5, 2, 2, 1, 1 and 2 across the 6 short course races lifted the flying pole to 3rd overall. Just 2 riders still in front, Tomasi in 2nd, with Guillaume continuing to hold the lead. Manevietsky believes he can reel them in by the final day. Meanwhile, things tightened up in the women's fleet. Not that Spanu was sailing badly, but 3 other girls found an extra gear, with Klajinska closing the gap to just 2 points behind the Italian leader. With Pico and Costi just a few points behind in 3rd and 4th place, the women's battle is really heating up as they go into the final weekend of competition.
So how are things going to shape up today? It's another change of conditions because yesterday we saw the highest wind gusting up to 22 knots. It was a big swell, the southerly wind blowing the wind and the waves in from the south of Sardinia, whereas the previous 2 days have been pretty flat water. Mirko, I think we're looking at a flat water day today, right?
Yeah, just because, not for the direction, just because the intensity is going to be less. We expected sea breeze, so southerly wind, but way less than yesterday. Today, if we got 12 knots, 13 knots, it's going to be a good chance to have a right condition and still on flat water then.
And one of the things that Formula Wing, which is a very new concept, is trying to address is trying to make the game as open as possible for all shapes and sizes of rider. Because what we've seen in other high-speed foiling sports, like kite foiling and also the foiling windsurfers that we see, those 2 in the Olympic Games last year in Marseille, it's gravitated towards bigger riders, and the more weight you can put on, the more you can convert that weight into power and speed through the water. So that's fine if you're big, not so great if you're small. So what's your understanding of the Formula Wing concept and how that's going to address that problem?
Yeah, no, it's going to be difficult for sure to address this problem because it's a part of the physique of the foil itself. So the foil, as more weight you put on it and a different angle, you gain more speed. So nothing to do to other foil boat, but because it's just smaller and the wing it just work a little bit different. But in terms of weight, you need to have some weight, I mean, on your body. If you're super light, then it's difficult to manage to perform 100% compared the body weight. Obvious, on the other hand, there is a opportunity because we are under development class. Honestly, we try to keep us much open as possible to have the opportunity to have a smaller rider or bigger rider and to reduce the gap in terms of performance, where obviously for the nature of the sport at some point they will figure out that there is a kind of a target in terms of body weight and body size that will be probably, let's say probably, because nobody knows, better than the other. But for sure, the foil is the foil that works in this physique, as this physique role by the nature of the foil itself. If you have more weight on top of the board and you keep more angle and push more, you gain more speed. That is nothing that we can do with that.
Yeah, and this week we've seen Gray Morris show up, Olympic silver medalist from the windsurfing last year at Paris 2024. Only 21 years old, but super mature rider. But day one of the competition here was the first time that he had ever raced in wing foil racing. And by the end of the day, he was third. And I think that performance surprised even him. But he's a big guy, about 100 kilos, close to, not far off 2 meters tall, probably about 190 or something. Really, really big guy. He's clearly got the physique for IQ4 windsurfing, and what we're trying to do is make sure that people of that size don't run away with the competition in wing foil racing.
No, yes, him is exactly the example, and he's really a good guy, and for sure he doesn't need a lesson how to race within the mark and how to make the right call in terms of tactics and techniques on his equipment. He's really fallen in love about wing foiling. I spoke a little bit with him, and his enthusiasm is really high, and this is why he tries to do as much as he can to compete in this competition. And I'm really happy that he's doing so, because he's doing well, and he's really good to have a rider like that, an athlete like that. I mean, it's an Olympic medal.
He's a fantastically positive character. He's so humble and yet so capable, and he's great fun to be around. We've got 40 seconds now to this first of what we're expecting to be 6 races today, if the wind holds up for us here in Sardinia. So it's going to be a long, potentially exhausting, but also exhilarating day for these 20 riders in the Gold Fleet. We've got 73 men competing overall. We've got 20 women, who will be watching the women a little bit later on this afternoon after this Gold Fleet 7 for the men. And we've got 10 seconds to go, and the majority approaching on starboard tack, the conventional way of starting. Here we are, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're off. And there's quite a few port tack starters, amongst them Kamil Manowiecki, but you can see left middle of your picture the red and black wing of Mathis Guillot. He's wearing the yellow bib. This is the leader from France, and you can see how hard they're working, pumping the board for maximum power and speed through the water. Mirko, who do you see at the moment that you like the look of?
Yeah, you can see at the center of the screen there is Francesco Capuzzo and Mathis Guillot and Ale Tomasi. The 1, 2, and 3, they are pumping a lot to keep the angle against the wind. You can see really with a big angle, nice angle to the wind. With the red and black is Mathis Guillot, and just on his side is Francesco Capuzzo.
And Capuzzo from Italy has been going extremely well. It looks like he was just getting the better of Guillot, but Guillot doesn't care because he's now tacked away, and they're not far off the left-hand ley line, which is why you see also Capuzzo tacking and Alessandro Tomasi on this side of the course. Meanwhile, on the far side, Manowiecki doing extremely well, with Gray Morris just a little bit back from Manowiecki. And all this season, the battle in the men has been between Guillot, who we see middle of our picture now with the red and black, and Kamil Manowiecki, recent winner of the Wing Foil World Cup in China just a couple of weeks ago, got the better of Mathis Guillot on that occasion. Looks like this race is shaping up to be a battle of the left and the right, between Guillot on the left and Manowiecki on the right. Just converging now, and they're not far off the top mark already. This is, if it goes to plan, just a 7-minute race in total.
Yes, exactly. You see that the fleet split a lot. Part of it they went on port, and the other one on starboard. Some of the other they did a double tack at the center of the course. I mean, the wind still pretty light, and for sure is shifty with this direction, which is typical, and it's not gonna be an easy call.
Well, it looked like Manowiecki took first blood. He was first round, so the port tack start and then doing one less tack up the first beat has paid into Poland's hands so far. He's doing close to 29 knots on this downwind leg in only about 10 knots of breeze or so, so phenomenally efficient. And just behind Manowiecki, it's Italy's Francesco Capuzzo in second, Matisquio in third, France's Oscar Leclerc in fourth, and New Zealand's Sean Herbert in fifth. Gray Morris from Australia, sixth overall and currently sixth in this race.
Yeah, there is also Freddie, is on the one of the top three with the sail. You can see a bigger sail, and
you're right. I thought it was Matisquio but Matisquio now is in third. But yes, you're right. Freddie Strawson from Great Britain, really good start to his race. He's just swapped places with Gio. So Strawson now in fourth ahead of Alessandro Tomasi in fifth.
Yes, it's going to be really interesting now to see how they handle the downwind because we saw that the wind is patchy. It's going to be not easy to, I mean, they have to get the gust and pump a lot to stay as deep as they can. You can see they are pumping with this light wind, and also because there's still some swell from yesterday, they are almost hitting directly to the gate.
Yeah, going quite soaking downwind. Manowiecki in the red bib pumping his way down to the bottom of the course. He's decided to go out to the right-hand side of the course as we look upwind. It looks like he's going left in our picture, which he is, but that's what we call the right-hand side of the course. That's the side that paid for him on the first beat. That was Matisquio going out behind him, going the same way. And there is the double skin ozone of our current leader, Kamil Manowiecki.
It will be interesting on the upper part of the course when we will see Capuzzo and Ale Tomasi. They decided to take the other side of the course, so there is a split between the leaders. It's gonna be really, really interesting to see if it pay more on the right side than in the left.
Manowiecki, he's now tacked. He's using a Chubanga.
Yes.
As a foil. Chubanga probably the most popular, certainly the most popular in the women's fleet, but still very well represented in the men's fleet. And he's using, what do we call them? Double profile ozone wings?
Yeah, full double. Yeah.
And so in the current Formula Wing setup, because it's constantly under review, constantly changing according to where things need to be adjusted, but you've got a choice of measuring in two wings, one that must be less than 5.5 square meters and one more than 5.5 square meters. Although, interestingly, Gray Morris, who borrowed some equipment for this week, is working with just one foil set and one wing across the week. He's working with a 6.5 ppc across the whole wing range, which is quite unusual. So there's Manowiecki's coming up to the top mark for the second time, looking pretty comfortable. The Polish rider who struggled in the first 2 days, he was down in 10th at the start of yesterday, and then those big swell conditions and a mental reset as well as some adjustment to his equipment has put him right back in the frame. He was third going into today, that's why he's wearing the red bib. And going round in second is Alessandro Tomasi from Italy, and Francesco Capuzzo and Matisquio also in the top group.
Yes, do you see how much they try to use the swell that remain in the sea to pump as much as they can? We can really see from the drone footage, you can see the waves.
And the gusts.
And the gust. And when they got the gust on the angle, on the right angle of the wave, they try to keep it as much as they can because they know that the waves, they take them more deep and more obvious, less course. So gain meters at the end.
Very, very tight battle here.
Capuzzo, yeah.
Jibe for jibe. Really
Capuzzo
high speed racing between green and yellow. So there we got red leading, just coming in towards the finish. It looks like it's still going to be Kamil Manowiecki he's done enough to take the race win ahead of Francesco Capuzzo in the green bib and Matisquio in the yellow bib. There's Matisquio. For his high standards, he'll probably be a little bit disappointed that he didn't manage to overtake the others, but he's also played a very consistent game. He's not necessarily out to win races. It's very patchy and shifty in the Bay of Cagliari sometimes this week, and going for the win isn't always the way to give yourself the best chance of winning the regatta. Coming across in 4th and 5th, that's
Sean Herbert and Oscar Leclerc.
Tomasi.
I didn't see the wing of Tomasi. Tomasi was 4th probably, and then Sean Herbert. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Strawson doing very well there, and just coming across in 9th and 10th. At the back of the top 10, Ernesto Diomicis and Francis Bastien Escoffier. We will come back to you very shortly after this break.
Strawson, you know.
Next start, 15:31.
Okay.
So we've just heard next start will be 5 minutes from now, and that will be the women, and we're watching the first of their 6 races today. Now, whereas the men have split into gold, silver and bronze because we have 73 men, we got 20 women, and we're keeping them in one group. So that's a straight battle between all the women. And then just to remind you, if you haven't seen a wing event before, we go into a really exciting final day series where anyone can still win. Can you believe that? If you haven't seen the golden ticket race before, that we'll explain the mechanics of that a little bit later on. But anybody in any fleet, even in silver or bronze in the men's fleet, could still win this competition. Now, we've set it up in such a way that it's probably going to be extremely unlikely for that to happen. But it keeps everyone's head in the game. It means no one goes home early because you never know what might happen on the last day. We got 3 minutes to go to the women's race, and Mirko, it's been another great year for Maddalena Spanu. She really has been the dominant force. You obviously know Maddalena very well. Just remind me, which part of Italy is she from?
She's from Oristano, just on the center part of the island, on the west coast, exactly on the center of the west coast of the island.
So only about an hour's drive away from...
An hour, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And she's 18, coming up for 19 this November, I think, so still pretty young. And she's had a phenomenal year. And the first 2 days, it looked like she was really going to run away with this competition, and no one was really going to be able to get close to her. But that's not how it worked out yesterday, because I don't think she had a bad day, but the 3 girls behind her really closed the points gap. And Poland's Karolina Kluszinska, who's, I think, about 30 years old, she thinks of herself as the grand old dame of wing four racing at just the age of 30. She's now, that's who we're looking at there, by the way. That's Karolina in the light blue bib. She is just 2 points off Maddalena Spanu's lead right now. And also not far behind, we've got Vaina Pico from France in 3rd and Emilia Costi from Greece in 4th, and then a big breakaway on the rest of the fleet. Jette Kopp in 5th place from Germany. She's the best of the rest. But it really looks like it's going to be a 4-way battle for 3 medals tomorrow in the final medal series. Bree seems to be holding up nicely. Based on what you saw in the men's start just now, Mirko, what would be your tactics off the start? Port or starboard start?
No, starboard, definitely starboard. And once you see the good pressure, the good wind, the good gust, go straight to port, and to the other side, try to hit the ley line on the right side of the course. Usually it's like that with this kind of wind direction. Let's see if it works out for the girl as well.
We got 50 seconds to the start, looking absolutely spectacular. This is what you hope to see when you're in Sardinia. And we've had some dodgy weather forecasts this week, and we've been worried about the lack of breeze, but overall, touch wood somewhere.
Yeah.
We've been pretty fortunate with the breeze so far. 30 seconds to go, and just middle right of your picture you can see, well, just going out of vision, it was the yellow bib of Madalena Spanu, and close to her Karolina Kluszynska, the right hand of that bunch of three in the middle. 15 seconds to go, and that I'm just trying to identify who that is coming in on port. As Emilia Costi from Greece, looking like she's going to go for the port tack start. And here they go. That is the start. And it's a clear start from the race committee. No one was over the line. So let's see how Emilia Costi does on the far side of the race course as she blasts out to the right-hand side, while our leading lights are like Madalena Spanu at the bottom of the screen in yellow. She looks a little bit soft for breeze there, and I think Karolina Kluszynska with the pink wing just to windward of her looks like she has the early advantage on her.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see when they start tacking all the competitors. They start on starboard, all the way to the left. I mean, on the downwind side, strange. But Madalena, she decided to stay leeward to everyone. I'm really curious to see. Obvious, she strongly believes in her speed and angle and power. I think now it's time to tack.
It must be getting close.
Yeah.
Madalena Spanu just going out of screen, bottom of our screen, Karolina Kluszynska.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Spanu has tacked. But is the red wing gonna take Spanu's air? It looked like someone had just managed to tack in front of her. We're trying to identify who that is. So now the convergence at the top. We'll see how Emilia Costi is doing from the far side when she comes into view, but we are watching. There is Emilia Costi with the green,
which she's already on the starboard side, probably pointing the mark.
Yeah, if she's judged her ley line correctly, then she won't need to tack again. There's quite a lot of effort involved in
pumping and and keeping foiling with the proper speed.
It looks like she's struggling a little bit.
Yeah, because probably she went too close to the mountain, and then it's getting patchy and patchy on the right side of the course.
So, in the lead we have, well, at the front, Vaina Picot and Karolina Kluszynska doing very well, and so
and Madalena straight behind. Those three that are now rounding the mark. So Karolina first, Vaina, and Madalena.
So it looks like Madalena had to eat some dirty air, some bad air from Vaina Picot's wing. Picot, the French rider, having managed to tack on top of Spanu. So Spanu suffering there a little bit. And now we'll see if Picot can close the gap on Kluszynska. It's Picot in the red, Kluszynska in the pink.
Yes, Vaina Picot, she's really young, but she learned every single event. She improved. She's really keen to train quick, to learn quick, and to train herself with equipment. And is I think, if I have to say a surprise of this year, Vaina Picot for sure. I will put her on the top of my list.
Interesting. Okay. Well, she is certainly sailing well this week, and she's got a lot more to come.
Okay, close to Mark II, and they start to go all the way downwind. I think we can definitely see the little difference between pumping between the men and the girl. The men, I think they are using all their power. I remember when I've been talking with Francesco and the other on pumping downwind, they have the heart rate over 185, which is really insane.
Yeah, if that happened to me, I think I'd need a defibrillator. I'd need to be taken to hospital. But these are supremely fit athletes.
Yeah,
And
you see Vaina, she pumped and she tried to stay more deep. That means that when Carolina, she will jibe, she will lose some advantage. And we saw behind Maddalena decided to jibe and go to the other side of the course.
And I wonder if Vaina Pico could have attacked there and held the port starboard, but that's easier to do in a slower boat. When you're going this fast and there's so much at stake, you don't really want to look for difficult moments. But she's certainly putting Karolina Kluszynska under pressure.
Yes, for sure. And now you can see, now the wind is okay. The power on the wing is way more than the top side of the course. But Carolina, I don't think she's going in front of Vaina. They are really close. Let's see how
it looks like Vaina has pulled through to leeward.
Yeah. But look at the early jibe of Maddalena.
Maddalena. So Maddalena's
inside, yeah.
She picked a better line on the downwind and has proven that the other two maybe sailed slightly more distance than they needed to.
Yeah.
So that's a great comeback by Maddalena Spano. So now we have a three-way fight, and Kluszynska, who was leading, is now back in third place.
Yes, exactly.
That's Maddalena Spano in the yellow bib, pumping her legs to keep the board going and also to maximize her pointing, her height towards the breeze.
But really good catch for Maddalena, the early jibe, and probably also good gust. Take her deep enough, and she reduced all the gap between the two leaders. So well done.
So Pico certainly looked like she had the downwind advantage on Kluszynska, but will Kluszynska, the taller rider, be able to climb away from Pico? And it looks like Pico just tacked behind Kluszynska there, so already the advantage has gone back to Kluszynska. So I wonder if being the taller and probably heavier rider is working for the Polish rider Kluszynska upwind, but maybe Pico being smaller and lighter is helping her out on the downwind. Emilia Costi also in this battle. She's back in fourth place at the moment, but she is not far behind the front three. So our four top riders are yet again, overall, are yet again the four top riders in this race. So right now it's a very close battle with Pico doing very well, may well actually be leading. And then behind her, very close between Kluszynska, Spanu and Costi. That's Pico with a red wing on the right of your screen being chased by Kluszynska, but it's Maddalena Spanu who goes round in the lead, followed by Pico, and then Kluszynska. And ignore that black wing. I don't think that black wing is part of our race.
Probably yes, but not on the... For
Do you
sure,
think
not
so?
on fourth, and
Maybe it is.
No, Emilia, she just around the mark.
Yeah, that's Emilia on the right of our screen. Now, there may well be another rider in the middle of our picture. I can't identify who that is. I'm not sure if they're part of this race or not. There's Spanu in the middle of picture. And she's going to have to avoid this rider coming upwind who has right of way on any potential collision course, but that's safely negotiated. And Spanu using these rolling waves. Look at that big rolling swell, and a lovely wave right now for Pico and the red wing. The French rider really surfing that wave beautifully, but still one big wave of this swell ahead of her is Maddalena Spanu from Italy, looking pretty comfortable, and a nice deep lane. Looks like she's judged her lay line pretty well and not far off the turning mark. Here is the turning mark, and it's the high speed reach to the finish. She briefly looks over her shoulder. She can't afford any hiccups here because Pico is ready to pounce on any mistakes. Maddalena Spanu not taking anything for granted, not pushing it too hard, but she takes the race win just ahead of Pico, who has really stretched a bit of distance on third place, Karolina Kluzinska from Poland. And then coming across in fourth, it's going to be Emilia Costi from Greece. So it's our usual suspects, our top four in a slightly different order than what we sometimes see. But they really are the standout performers in this fleet. While you can see some of the riders further back, they are still going around this course a long way behind the leaders. So there we have it. That's our first of 6 races for the women done so far today.
And we're super happy that it's been so successful.
So we've seen our first men's race and our first women's race of the afternoon so far. We've got 5 more of each to go. Each race for the leader lasting about 7 minutes or so. And there are the standings after the men's standings updated after that earlier race. Kamil Manawiecki winning that race and now moving to second equal with Alessandro Tomasi. Tomasi still in second place, but certainly the Polish rider closing the gap. Matis Gio's third place, still leaving him fairly well, comfortably leading at this stage. And just a little bit further back, Francesco Capuzzo from Italy in fourth, Sean Herbert from New Zealand in fifth, Gray Morris from Australia in sixth. Remember, this is Gray Morris's first ever Wing 4 racing event, so a phenomenal debut from him. And then further back, some French riders, Oscar Leclerc, Bastien Escoffier, Italy's young teenager Ernesto de Amicis in ninth, and France's Thomas Proust rounding out the top 10 so far. We've got 3:40 to the start of the next race. We spoke earlier about Formula Wing and what it's trying to achieve, and it's really trying to solve some problems about balancing out the weight of different riders and making sure what people suspect might be the case, making sure that the bigger, heavier riders don't run away with the competition. Well, we've just seen its race start delayed. Let's take a look at a little video that doesn't solve the problem, but it lays out the problem, and this is what we're trying to address with the Formula Wing concept.
We have to try and create a situation where I can compete and so can everyone else.
I really would like that we make it fair for all the different people.
We're gonna always want the bigger sail. Bigger sail is faster in all the sailing. We're the sailing class.
For the brands that are going to 8, 8.5 or 9 meters.
At the beginning of the year, I started with 6.5 wing. Now I'm almost on 8 meters wing. So maybe next year I'm gonna grow to 9 meters.
If I didn't have the 8 meter, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to be competitive.
If we limited the wing size to 6.5 meters, I think I could remain competitive.
Well, for the Open Challenge, it's Open Challenge, so I don't think there should be any limit. And for Formula Wing, I do think there should be a limit.
I think to keep the class in a positive environment, I think wing size should be the part that's limited.
I can understand to limit the size of the wing because we have to look at the average people in the fleet.
If you don't put any limitations, for sure people will try to hold bigger and bigger wings, that's for sure.
If we continue on the direction we are currently, I don't think I'll be able to compete competitively in the wing foil class next season.
I really wish the wing foil will not finish like kite or the IQ foil with the only heavy people.
I think it should be restricted for next year to be able to include the most people into the wing foil sport.
If we don't stop it now, we're just gonna grow more and more.
Eventually have one body type and one weight that works well in this class, and that's going to be a very heavy and tall rider.
Just hope that we won't have to get any bigger.
That is not going to be a good direction for the class.
Meanwhile, we've heard that the race start has been delayed because they need to do some resetting of the course, so we're waiting to find out how long this delay will last. Mirko, what's your feeling? You're a big wing foiler yourself. What do you think is going to be the best way of balancing up the weights and making sure that the smaller riders get a fair chance?
But this is just about how to choose the shape and the size of the foil, first of all, because what makes the difference is not the size of the wing, but what affects really the weight is the size of the foil or below the board, and which kind of size will fit more or less at the same in the same way the heavier and the lighter. I think so far nobody knows exactly, but we need it's really important to keep testing and obvious testing on light wind, because something that will work really well on light wind, then for one reason or the other it will give an advantage to the heavy one when there's strong wind, because you need a foil that perform with a lighter wind, and so for sure the balance is not easy to find out, and I think the nature of the sport, I know that it might not be easier, but with the wing, with less power, and with the foil and the genesis of this sport, having one foil that fit all, for me, is difficult to find out. I think the nature of the sport need to have a different setup. Let's say more or less Sail GP at the end they struggled to have the same setup, but didn't work. If you want to spread your wind range and to be safe and to give the opportunity to go on lighter wind, you need to have bigger foil. If the wind is strong, then you need to be safe, and then you need to reduce something, reduce the sail or reduce the wing. So I think is if you want to keep the nature of the sport, it's difficult to find out, but it needs to have a different setup, different foils to fit the all size of body weight.
And so there are two extremes of the spectrum here. There's one extreme, like we see in the Wing Foil Racing World Cup, where you can have, you can bring as many wings or foils as you like, and you can pretty much use any size of equipment that you like. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you've got strict one design, which means you buy what you buy from the manufacturer and you can't change anything at all. And both have their problems. Having open development is potentially very expensive. You can try lots of different things, but one design, you can't adapt the equipment to you. You have to adapt your body and your style to the equipment, which is what we see in a lot of the Olympic classes, like the Ilka is probably the best known, and the IQ foil is one design, whereas Formula Kite is well, that's really the model that we're working off here, isn't it? It's a formula where you have a level of development and variation in the equipment, but still keeping limits on it. And at the moment, this week, it's a limit of 2 wings, isn't it?
Yeah.
One big, one small.
Yes, but again, for me, this sport with 2 wings, you can also end up on using only one sail, one wing, probably on the future. But the main issue is the foil. the nature of this sport doesn't really allow it in the easy way like IQ foil and kite to have only one foil. I mean, this is my opinion, and I'm talking and testing and spending a lot of hours, more than anybody think about, and in the water, and this is why let's see how it will develop in the future, the sport. I mean, we saw really a lot of things going on from over the last 4 or 5 years when we start with just a wing. It was a wing without a lot of bladder, just an inflate leading edge and a boom at the center, and then some buttons, no more buttons, and 25% profile, double profile, little shape on the leading edge. I mean, we saw already a lot of things over the last few years, and beside that, because the wing doesn't have a lot of power, they start working a lot of different profile on the foils. So if you take a look on the future profile, they are all with different shape, double S, really giving different pressure between the bottom side and the upper side to help you to start foiling, but not start breaking when you raise your speed. And the balance is not yet found.
It's interesting to see how popular the Chubanga and to a lesser extent the Levitas foils are in this fleet, and a lot of people are using the technology that's been so finely developed for high-speed kite foiling in the Formula Kite world for the Olympic Games. So there's been that Olympic pressure on and funding on developing the best kit, and it seems like that kit is moving across quite nicely into the wing foil world. So a lot of the development has been done by the kite foil scene as far as foil development is concerned. Is that right?
Yes, for sure. They play a really important role because they had experience of more or less 8 to 10 years on this kind of foil use with smaller board. And speaking with Levitas or Chubanga, the one that they've been involved with on the kite, obviously they figure out that the wing doesn't have the same power of the kite, and so that doesn't work. This is why they started to produce and test a particular foil, which is wing foil dedicated. On the other end, from the beginning, if you took just a V3 from the kite that was working well, is working well, or the Levitas from the kite R5 working well, but then they start to see how limited it is in terms of functionality and the easy way.
So I'm getting an update that the wind has done a 180 out there, and we're actually looking at quite a long delay to reset the course in quite a major way, which is unfortunate. We can show you some of the events from earlier on in the season, the Wingfoil World Cup racing events. But I would also like to just show you the approach of the America 1 team and how they're going into the game of wingfoiling, because you can start to see certainly some nations taking wingfoil seriously, maybe in the anticipation that it will go Olympic. I think that's the way that France and Italy are thinking. But also USA starting to take it seriously. Let's see what America 1 has to say about wingfoiling.
They look chilled, but these new kids on the block are planning on taking the wingfoil racing world by storm. The 5 riders are making their Wingfoil World Cup Series debuts as part of the America 1 talent program.
American 1 and its partners, the Sailing Foundation of New York, Schoolmaker Foundation, and Quantum Racing American Magic, and others, were mainly focused on supporting talent to reach the highest areas of the sport and succeed. Yeah, American 1 Racing has 2 programs going on right now. One is Project Podium. It's focused on the Olympic classes, and we have a select group of athletes that we support at the Olympic arena. But also we have Pipeline, which is focused in the long-term development of talent, and that's when wingfoil comes in, because foiling is not the future anymore, foiling is here.
The group's made up of riders from all parts of the US, but it was their New Zealand teammate who overturned the circuit's biggest names on the opening day by winning the first 2 races and taking the overnight lead.
On the back of my result at the New Zealand Nationals, a member from America One approached me and said that they were, running some training camps up in Hawaii, and I kind of, jumped at it, and I've been involved in the last 2 camps with the boys, and it's been really beneficial for all parties. Like, the group's come a long way, and it's good to see an American also with a Kiwi inside the top 10. It's an awesome relationship, and we're looking to just continue building on the back of this. We'll go to San Francisco for the US Nationals after this event, and going from strength to strength at the moment.
Herbert's inclusion is all part of the international concept behind the America One program.
We will invite anyone that's we think will benefit from training with us. So we've had Camille come and stay with us in Hawaii, and Sean Herbert as well. It's been a really great opportunity with America One Racing to have the best come and train with us, and it's showing in our results, I think.
These are riders with big dreams and the determination to make them happen. For now, though, their focus is firmly on winning in Silver Plana.
So that was recorded 3 months ago, high up in the Swiss mountains in St. Moritz. And it's interesting that a lot of people in our world, Mirko, are talking about wing foiling as the next obvious Olympic discipline. But it would have struggled, like a lot of the other disciplines struggled at that really light wind Paris 2024 Olympic regatta in Marseille. It doesn't hold all the answers, certainly not in light winds, does it? So do you think that wing foil racing can close the gap? It can compete in at least the conditions that we see some of the other current Olympic disciplines, because that's the current chink in the armor, I would say, for wing foiling.
Again, I think it's too early to think about that the wing foiling will be the perfect choice to solve the problem or to have a proper race on a condition that we had in Marseille. It was just a nightmare in Marseille for different reasons, not just only for the wind speed, but bending 2 different speeds, 3 different wind direction in the same course area, wind in one side when they're supposed to have it in another side. There were multiple problems. Back to the condition, and if the wing foiling will be the future discipline that solves some problem in terms of foil, who knows? I guess that the opportunity for wing foiling to be Olympic in Australia on Brisbane 2032, that means we still have a lot of time to develop a proper equipment and the proper athletes that will perform with equipment. And I think it will be possible to foil and sail, have a fair sailing from 5 to 6 knots. I'm pretty confident on that. But again, like I said before, I'm still not convinced that one foil only will fit.
Yeah,
for that, unless you just choose to let's do the races only until 20 knots, then we go, and then the sport will be a little bit changed.
Yeah. Okay, really interesting subject. Meanwhile, people are loving what they're doing in its non-Olympic state. It's taken off recreationally at a massive level, and here we're seeing the absolute tip of the spear, the very best in the world, putting wing foil equipment through its paces and doing speeds well over 30 knots at times. There was a really high-speed competition a few months ago in Turkey, Istanbul, which sometimes doesn't generate a lot of wind, but I understand this was an event I wasn't at, but this produced some really high wind, high speed foiling. So let's take a look at how things went earlier this season in Istanbul.
Istanbul, where Europe meets Asia on the shores of the glittering Bosphorus. Once the capital of ancient empires, it's now home to 13 million people. Fenerbahce Sports Club, famous for its football team, is also one of the world's most successful multi-sports clubs, including sailing. And it's our host for the third round of the Wingfoil World Cup. Hello from me, Alec Wilkinson, in Istanbul, where 55 athletes from 14 countries make up the field. 10 women and 45 men battling it out for world ranking points and a share of the €10,000 prize pot. Conditions on the edge of the Bosphorus, with its strong currents and winds, will provide a real test of even the bravest rider.
Here, as it's offshore wind, the most difficult thing is to deal with the gust. The base of the wind is between 24 and 26 knots, but we have the gust up to 35, sometimes more. Current doesn't really affect inside, but it affects the rider and the lower part of the course. So it can be really tactical for them.
The Wingfoil World Cup has enjoyed strong winds throughout the season. Round 1 in Dakar, Morocco, was the perfect year opener with plenty of adrenaline-fueled racing. The current men's and women's champions, Frenchman Mathis Guillot and Italian Maddalena Spanu, set the standard for the coming year and came out on top. Round 2 took us to the high-altitude conditions of Silvaplana in the Swiss Alps. This time, Guillot and Spanu were pushed to fight harder for their victories as the rest of the field closed in. This is how they line up going into Istanbul, and there's a growing sense that we may see some new names on the podium, especially if the conditions prove as full-on as the forecasts say. In the women's, Emilia Costi, Anaïs Desjardins and Vaina Pico will all want to use the changing conditions to try to reel in the overall leader, defending champion from Italy. Day 1 saw 4 long-distance races of around 14 kilometres each, with men and women competing on the same course at the same time. Starting at full speed behind a speedboat, known as a rabbit start, is always a thrill. The Italian men made the best of the conditions, especially Alessandro Tomasi, who won 3 of the 4 races, although a navigational error saw the first of those victories disallowed by officials. It didn't stop him finishing the day top of the standings, though. In the women's event, it was a good day for Turkey's Dilara Palombo. The windsurfing Olympian was making her World Cup Series debut as she continues to transition to wingfoiling. Palombo finished day 1 in 5th overall, with Maddalena Spanu unbeaten all day. Time to chill before the heat of competition. The Turkey team is using this World Cup Series event in Istanbul to showcase its emerging talent. Of the 14 Turkish riders, 8 are under 18. For club manager and 5 times Olympian in the 470 class Denise China, it's a perfect opportunity for developing young riders.
That's our goal, to develop that class, especially foiling classes in Turkey for the Turkish sailor, that give the opportunity to see the top level athletes and then share the same event with them and then see all the technique and the development of the equipment. I think that's a big opportunity to do this development with them.
Derin Tuzel, at 11 years old, is the youngest athlete ever to compete in the World Cup Series.
With my teammates, we always make jokes to each other. We're not a team actually, we're just a group of friends racing in the Wingfoil World Cup Series.
However, the pressure grows as the riders get older. Competing against the best in the world can be daunting when you're 16, no matter how friendly they are.
I've been a little shy myself, like I couldn't get myself to go for them, go for the top riders and talk to them. But my friends always goes for like Mathis, Camille, and ask for their advices on how to race, on how to improve themselves.
Mathis is always talking with me. He helped to fix my board foot strap. It went out, and it's good to be here with them.
Dilara Ural Palombo competed at the Rio and Tokyo Olympics in windsurfing, but is now coaching wingfoiling, sees a bright future for the class in her country.
Here, I think it's getting more and more wingfoiling. The parents are also looking for it and asking a lot of questions about wingfoiling. I think we have really good potential in Turkey. I'm living in Urla, and I also started a lot of kids now, and hopefully they will race next year. So it's going really good, I think.
On the water, the youngsters have performed well and bravely in some brutal conditions. Days 2 and 3 of racing saw increasingly strong winds. The local Meltem wind blew and began to hit gusts of 40 knots. It wreaked havoc with wing choice as riders dropped sizes between races. By the end of the second day, many had dropped to a 5. Some wished they'd brought even smaller wings. Revelling in the heavy conditions was Italy's Alessandro Tomasi. On the crucial 4th day of competition, when the top 9 qualify for the medal series, the tall, rangy rider used his size and strength to take 4 victories from the day's 8 races. By his usual standards, defending World Cup champion Matis Gio was having a tough week. The master of consistency was thrown off his stride by the extreme conditions. However, the Frenchman may have been down, but he never looked out and recovered to qualify 3rd overall behind Poland's Kamil Manowiecki. For the first time in many events, Gio would have to come through the semi-final. By contrast, the women's champion Maddalena Spanu maintained her dominance. Despite the wind smacking her into the water a few times, the Italian never fell from the top of the leaderboard. It was, however, a chance for Emilia Costi to push hard, the Greek picking up most of Spanu's dropped bullets to qualify 2nd for the final. Former kiteboarder Anaïs May Desjardins notched up some of the week's fastest speeds. The doctor from France qualified straight to the semi-final.
I don't know what to say. I secured this first spot for the final, and it's crazy. I didn't expect when I came here. As I already said, I did a great job setting up my equipment, and I felt super fast. I did super good choices. Wow, it's incredible. I cannot say anything yet, but I'm confident.
I will try to do my best in the final with Maddalena, because all these days we really push each other a lot. So yes, I will try to do my best, and we'll see.
The sailors have been set a unique challenge here in Istanbul. Sponsor Audi is offering a car to the fastest rider. Wing size is a crucial factor in speed, but the strong winds this week have made choosing the right sized wing really tough.
Hey guys, so I'm preparing for the second day of the Gold Fleet. Today looks like it's windy as well, so I'm getting my smaller size. You're probably wondering, how do we choose the size between the big wing? We have 7.3s, 8s, and small wings as 4.3, 5 meters. For me, I'm not afraid of choosing too big size for the race. I know that the smaller sizes are a bit quicker and make you a bit less tired, but in the lulls like we have here, when the wind is lacking in some places of the course area, then it's better to have bigger wing to keep up the pressure. So today is the final day of the Gold Fleet before the medal series. I'm going all in, so I go 5.5. See you out there.
Before the medal series could start, the golden ticket race to decide the 10th and final spot in the medal series got underway in the lightest winds of the week, around 12 knots. 2 long reaches along Istanbul's shoreline saw Sean Herbert take the lead. The New Zealander held that lead right to the end, but what he didn't know was that a starting infringement earlier meant he was disqualified. Second finisher Hay from Hong Kong was awarded the golden ticket and a place in the final medal series. This is how it works. The first 2 finishers in the repechage go through to the quarter-final. Then first and second go through to the semi, and the top 2 in that race go through to the final, where they meet the 2 riders that finished top in qualifying. Still on a high from qualifying, Hay from Hong Kong then stormed through the first round of the medal series, coming first ahead of Italy's Ernesto De Amicis. The quarter-final saw Oscar Leclerc of France win, with De Amicis go through in second. And so we reached the business end of the medal series, the semi-final featuring some of the circuit's most experienced riders. World champion Matis Guillot, so used to qualifying straight to the final, admitted he had a mountain to climb. But we all knew the day's lighter winds would suit him, and on the biggest sail he'd used all week, Guillot won the semi just ahead of Francesco Capuzzo. Waiting for them in the final were top qualifier Tomasi and Manowiecki. Tomasi started well and led to the first mark, but Matis Guillot was right on his shoulder. Whilst the duel continued to the bottom gate, the chasing pair, Manowiecki and Capuzzo, were also going head-to-head. An early tack by Tomasi to avoid safety boat grabbed him an advantage, whilst Guillot struggled. As they approached the finish line, Tomasi was clear out in front. It was gold for the Italian. In the final metres, the Pole moved up to second, and Capuzzo grabbed Italy the bronze as well. With two riders in the women's final, France was guaranteed a medal. But could anyone beat the defending women's champion, Italy's Maddalena Spanu, who already had a 2-point advantage as best qualifier? 15-year-old Vaina Pico, in her first ever World Cup final, showed no nerves to cross the line first. The final would go to at least one more race. Spanu didn't panic. Race 2 saw her lead from the start. Once ahead, Spanu is always difficult to catch. She was flying and crossed the line to take her third World Cup title of the season. Emilia Costi of Greece took silver, whilst Pico's earlier win was enough to secure the French teenager the bronze. The biggest celebrations, though, belong to Italy's two champions, who will now look to repeat their success in China in September.
Fino ad ora di quest'anno è stato il mio migliore evento. Questo è un posto, ci ha dato veramente tanto vento, super complicato regattare qua. C'è il vento che gira tanto, fino a 30 gradi e oltre, è molto rafficato. Per fortuna penso di essere stato molto bravo a prendere le giuste decisioni nei giusti momenti e sono stato quindi abbastanza costante. In questa tappa qua ho dimostrato di meritare questa vittoria, penso.
Si è appena conclusa la terza tappa del mondiale di Wingfoil Racing a Istanbul. È stata una settimana molto intensa in quanto il vento era girava molto e era molto difficile capire da quale parte del percorso andare. Però sono veramente orgogliosa del risultato, sono arrivata prima e sì, appunto l'ultimo giorno è stato il più difficile secondo me in quanto il vento era molto leggero e soprattutto nella prova femminile è stato molto difficile per me decidere in quale parte del percorso andare, però alla fine sono riuscita a vincere e sono veramente orgogliosa di me stessa. Le ragazze sono fortissime.
So an excellent week for Italy with a gold and a bronze in the men's competition. And whilst Tomasi revelled in the strong wins, mention too for Polish rider Kamil Manowiecki, whose silver medal was reward for his hard work and attacking spirit in the difficult Bosphorus conditions. As for world champion Matis Guillot, a disappointing fourth place, but he still sits top of the season standings, and we just know he'll be back for revenge next time. So another Italian gold in the women's competition for Spanu as she strengthens her hold on the standings. Some great races from Greek rider Costi as well, but keep an eye on the rising talent of Desjardins and Pico. Tomasi added the title of fastest rider to his gold medal. A thumping 34.4 knots saw him win the speed challenge and the Audi model car. So what an event for Italy. 2 golds and a bronze kicked off a night of triple celebrations. The next event in China is just around the corner and promises very different conditions and challenges for the riders to face. But for now, from me, Alec Wilkinson, it's goodbye.
So that was Istanbul, and now here we are back in Cagliari, and it's not the sight that we want to see, but riders are coming back ashore. I can still see a rider going fairly nicely in the background, but the wind is just not stable enough in direction or wind speed right now for reliable racing. But we're hoping things turn around because, Mirko, generally I feel like we've been fortunate this week. When we've been doubtful about the wind, generally it's worked out okay.
Yes, but today we said from the beginning and from this morning that we might struggle today because there is a couple of low pressure around on the south coast of Sardinia, and this is the result. The wind keeps shifting. It went to south, which it was at the beginning good, and then it turned to west. So probably west to northwest later on. It might help us to have some race back again.
Okay, well, we keep our fingers crossed. We're going to go off shortly, but I just want to ask you about driving the rabbit start boat. How much fun is that? Because you're the guy that gets to do that. How much fun?
Until I have fun, I will try to do it as much as I can, because I really love to see the faces of the rider in front of me, and they start to understand how closer they can be to my ribs. This is why I'm really worried that before or later I will get someone together inside of my boat. No, beside that, it's really fun for me to play with the time distance on the right time, right angle, right speed, and having behind me dozens of foilers just crossing the starting line is really nice. I love to do that because I have having fun myself.
Yeah, and sometimes we have seen you wearing the rabbit ears as well, which is only right.
Yeah. You need to be ready. You never know.
Well, from me, Andy Rice and Mirko Babini, we hope that we're going to be back with you later on this afternoon. We can't guarantee that will be the case, but we are keeping our fingers crossed that Cagliari is going to deliver this afternoon. Hope you enjoyed the two races that we showed you so far. We've got a lot more on the schedule, and we just hope the winds come back. So keep your screen on. We will be coming back if there's any prospect of racing later on this afternoon. So thanks for joining us for the time being, and we look forward to seeing you a little bit later on.